Joe. All right, we chilling. Um, so I just wanted to kind of get back here and kick it with you guys a little bit. I am. There's some things I want to actually talk about. I won't get into specifics, but I was on a stream the other day, and I was also today. There were I was at this store and they were talking about fashion and whatnot, and it got me thinking about how we do things, how we're like always trying to be authentic and do our own style. And I think a lot of people don't calculate, I guess, the risk or the reward, and not to risk to reward, or I literally mean risk and I mean reward, and the cost of what it takes when you're doing something in a different way. Like YouTube, for instance, the the way I'm going about the channel is mainly just the way I want it. Like if I want to do a video about skateboarding one day, I'm gonna do a video about skateboarding. If it's about Superman one day, I'm gonna do it about Superman. It's gonna be like my channel is pretty much gonna be like whatever it is that I want to do. And that's not a good formula if you want to make it on YouTube. If your sole focus is money, then you should study about money and start talking about money on YouTube and how to make money. The reason being is as you study, you're going to realize that the companies that pay the most for ads are companies that want to be involved with YouTubers who talk about money. So if you're giving advice constantly about how to become successful, how to make money, you're going to be the most. You could have way less subscribers than somebody that's just doing entertainment stuff, and you're gonna make more money. You could have like half the subscribers and make more money than that person. It's all about the knowledge of how the algorithm works, how the watch ratio and the engagement, the like which companies pay the most for ads, and understanding that depending on your content, you're gonna get specific ads running through your channel. Um, that's how YouTube makes money. Like it's if you talk about chocolate, there's no point of vegetable companies sending ads through your channel during the breaks. Like a company that's a chocolate company or Nesquik or something, they're gonna invest so that YouTube takes their ad and puts it in your channel because your channel is about chocolate. You know what I mean? So something like my channel and channels that I like to watch is usually about pop culture. You're going to get like small movie trailers or a full blown movie trailer ad in your ad breaks on your channel. And I understand that that's kind of like the determining factor of how quickly I'm gonna have progress in terms of subscribers and eventually monetization and all that stuff. That mine's gonna be more of a slow burn because the main thing that I'm focused on is just consistency across the board, posting a video once a week, doing some live streams a few times a week, and just kicking back, doing gaming live streams, doing stuff like this, like the late night show, um, live streams of just topics I want to talk about, and kind of perfecting the craft. Like right now, like I'm kind of figuring out the whole camera situation. Um, this one and a video that's gonna launch tomorrow are probably, in terms of the camera work, the best quality I've got it to so far. I've been learning about lighting. Like every time I post something, I try to improve. And you guys will understand a little bit when my video comes out tomorrow. It's a 4-minute video. It's very quick. But I don't really like editing. Before, when I like, as a consumer on YouTube, before, what I really liked to do was just watch like really nicely edited videos, like Hollywood production level. But then I came across live streams, and at first I thought they were boring. At first I thought, like, why would anybody watch something live? Because the only thing that I could relate to something that was live was like sports, and I was never into sports. I'm like, I don't understand the appeal. And then I think it was like the first live stream I actually ever watched was this breakdown. I think it was the Punisher, and it was the channel Nerdrotic. Um, and I was like, oh shoot, this is pretty good stuff. And I didn't even know it was live. They were just like talking to each other. I'm like, yeah, this seems like buddies just hanging out, and I liked it. And so then I still watched channels, and then I kind of got into live streaming. I never watched like a gaming live stream. Um, but then I really liked how authentic it was. And then there's a few YouTubers who they don't do edits. They just put up the camera, they film their video, they talk all the way through. If they screw up, they usually leave it in there. And like, I'm that specific audience that I like those screw ups. I like the realism of it all. You know what I mean? And like, I never really liked the over the top, like today's episode we're gonna do this, blah blah blah, like jumping around and being like a freaking, like, you are not like that in real life. So to me, it's like, I'm not going to, like, if I want to watch an actor, I'm gonna watch a movie. You know what I mean? So I'm not. When I jump on YouTube, I'm expecting more authenticity. But yeah, I was just thinking about styles, and then like the understanding of, like, if you present yourself in a certain way, a certain thing that you wear, depending on the location, you're gonna come across a certain way. It doesn't matter what your intention is. On YouTube, if you're expecting to make it as a career, but you're just doing it like the way I'm doing it, it's going to take a long time before you see a dime. You know what I mean? Like, if you have one channel, and and you still might make it, like, you might really like have this over the top personality, or you might be like just really amazing at editing. You might just have a talent, a knack for something, and that's great and all. But like, the statistics are against you. You feel me? Like, there's things counting against you. Um, and you got to realize your strengths. Like, I like to learn languages. The English is my third language, and it's fine. Like, I'm not a scholar by any means, but like, I have a friend, and he's more focused on Instagram than YouTube. But he has around 50 to 60,000 followers on Instagram, and he has done some YouTube videos and some YouTube shorts, and he does as well. He's 20,000 views on a short or something. But he is somebody who learned Portuguese, and not only Portuguese is a very specific diet, like accent in Brazil, in a very specific area. And if any Brazilian that talks to him thinks he's Brazilian, because he adopted the culture, the mannerisms. He even married a woman from Brazil, of that area. And like, he always wanted to do something where he was teaching English, teaching Portuguese, and also being on social media. And he dabbled here and there, but then he really took it seriously, I would say, the past year or so. And it's something that we always talked about, just being authentic. Like, in the beginning, like, he even gave me some advice. Like, in the beginning, he was so focused on editing so perfectly and doing the right cuts in the right areas and whatever. And that's kind of what held me back to just jumping on YouTube. And sometimes, like, I give credit to Anderson. He was willing to do it with me. He understood technology way more than I did. So in the beginning, if you look past, we have a bunch of audio issues. We have some video issues. There's like a few live streams that actually sounded nice. Like, like, but it's like one person's talking in one ear and one's talking in the other. So if you have headphones on, it doesn't sound good. And then sometimes the volume is too low. Sometimes, like, there's a lot of things where like we needed to work on, right? But having him there, having that friend of mine, like, it gave me the courage to start YouTube. Like, of like just starting, just literally throwing up a camera and investing in the material. And also I had a nice excuse as well. Like, it was an investment. Like, it was part of the store. I used to have a Lego store, and that's like that channel. Let me see. I think the first video, which was like not the highest quality of video, it was just like, let's throw it on there, and got 200 views. And every other video, like, one the lowest video had 25 views. Everything else had 63, 56, and only 4 videos. You know what I mean? And automatically 21 subscribers. I think we had more, but obviously it's been a year or so since we've even done anything with that channel, which now we can't because it was attached to the previous business. And maybe I could switch it around. Maybe I could mess with it one day and make it a straight up Lego channel if I wanted to. But yeah, like it's the algorithm picked it up. They understood that it was Lego. They understood that it was strictly one way. And and I'm here, and we're at like 38 subscribers, 38 of the best subscribers in the world, right? So I'm happy for the 1-2 subscribers that come in, and that's like, that makes me happy. And yeah, I would love if this was the way I made money and support my family, but like, I can't even, the way I'm doing things, I can't even calculate or gauge how to make, like, I could live off with 3 kids and my wife being a stay-at-home mom, like $4,500 a month. I could do that. Obviously, I would prefer more, so we could live comfortably, but there's no way for me to gauge it. Even when it starts monetizing, let's say like 200,000 subscribers, I don't know how much I'm gonna make the way I'm doing things. Like the shorts, they're a really good example. Give me a second. I'll post something like the Duke controller right here. Just turning on the button. I mean, like, love this controller. Awesome. Didn't think anything of it. Got 5,000 views. Then I really take the time to edit a video, or like I find this clip and that somebody else made, and I'm sharing it, and I kind of put my own kind of, like, I edit a tiny bit and put my own kind of flair to it, like, and a different song on top of it, and it gets like 5 views. And I really took the time to do it. And then I post something like, yo, I built this Lego Pokemon, or what is my highest viewed freaking, give me a second, like, let me check out what's the highest viewed short. It was Bowser holding the Nintendo, and granted, like, almost 10,000 views. Granted, also, I understand why. I didn't know the trailer came out, and lucky me, I just threw it out there. But then, I'm like filming The Office. I get like 80 views, like an update, and then I do a quick thing of like jujitsu, and it's 1,000 views just because I said I like this shirt for jujitsu. It doesn't even show me fighting. I'm just chilling. You know what I mean? So yeah, like and I know, and like me studying it, I could see like, okay, the algorithm's trying to figure out what I'm about, where to push it, how consistent am I, all that fun stuff. And I'm not making it easy. So it is what it is. Shoot. And my Clark Kent glasses are off. But Yeah, like regardless, I love like live streaming is my favorite thing, and I'm also doing it wrong. I'm doing more live streams than videos. I'm not on Twitch. I'm not cross streaming. Like I like to do things with certain things. I like to go for it 100%. You know, when it comes to work and business, like I'm gonna do everything, even if I'm doing it terribly. I'm gonna do it all. You know, something like this YouTube where it's like, to me it's intimidating. Technology, it's always been something I never really gravitated towards. I never took the time to give it the proper respect. And so like I'm gonna take my time. I'm not gonna try. Like I'm learning more now about like what CPU usage is, frames per second, delays, lag. Like this live stream, I don't even know if it's connecting well the way my mouth is moving towards the audio. Because I have videos that like you watch it and you see my mouth move, and the audio, it's like it's almost perfect, but you could tell it's a little off. And I was like, I'm still learning how to fix that, or like what's going on. You know, I'm cleaning up like the memory on my computer, and I'm using a MacBook. I don't have a gaming PC or a PC that I built that would make my life easier. But I'm cool with it, you know. I'm enjoying myself. But yeah, and like again, I'm gonna make a video about why I am on YouTube and why I'm sticking with it, cause it's like it's helping me with my stress a little bit. You know, it's something. It's like a to me, it's like a video game where every time I post something, every time like I achieve something, whether it's views, a comment, you know, like to me that's like every little thing to me is an achievement with YouTube. So I'm very grateful for one subscriber subscribing, one person watching a video or participating in a live stream. Like I'm grateful for that. It's nice. And like I understand that like it's different when you're like a top YouTuber or you have like 3,000 people in your live stream at a time, and that's great and all. I just and I understand that like it might over time you get used to it and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't get that many views this time, but you know, if I get one view and you know 10 views, like all of it's just great. It's awesome. Yeah, even if it's sometimes my wife like tuning in and being like, liked it and I saw the video, you look great, you know. Um like my wife's very supportive of the things I do, and you know, I got 3 kids, and like even them being sick, she's like, go do YouTube and have fun, like let me take care of them. Like she's the best, man. It's awesome. Like having key to life, pick the right woman, man. If you're a dude, pick the right woman. If you're a woman, pick the right guy. Like it doesn't matter really how different you are versus how like what your ambitions are. You know what I mean? As long as both of you are aligned and have the same goal, you'll be able to support each other, and you know, like it's I think that's the key to life. Like if you want a good life, pick the right partner. Like I think it sucks to go through life alone. I'm not saying everybody's got to get married, but you know, have somebody on the journey with you, whether it's your best friend and or better yet, a loved one, partner you can do. You know, it's so much better. Uh, but yeah, we chilling. So, man, I want to talk about the video that's gonna come out tomorrow, and just because I had fun with it, it was just 4 minutes. I thought I was gonna go longer, but I didn't want to like. I wanted to make it a video that's simple and you know, it's just gonna be out there. It's gonna be fun, and it's four. I think it's 4.04 minutes. You know, 4 minutes and 4 seconds. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. But here's one thing I've been watching. I just finished season 1 of Smallville again for like the I don't know 8th time. And look, there's so many things that's different from comics. Like Lionel Luthor is a character that was like created for the show, and he is one of the best things that came to DC as a whole. Like a phenomenal character, phenomenal actor, phenomenal character. Does a great job, and like you believe he is that douchebag. You believe that the way he treats Lex is the way that he believes to be right. And it's like it's one of those things that's it reminds you of like you can have creative freedom. You can adapt and still have respect. I understand that at the time they created Smallville, there's a lot of things they couldn't really do, whether the technology wasn't there or they didn't have the budget or they actually didn't have the rights to make the character exactly like this or that. Metallo's very different. I would say Doomsday is pretty darn close to some of the comics, especially the design. You know, the biggest one that I think a lot of people complain about was Brainiac. Um, but I don't know, it's so great. Christopher Reeve is in it, and the voice of Jor-El is Zod from the Christopher Reeve Superman. The actress that plays his mom is Lana Lang from the Christopher Reeve era. Like there's just so many great things. It's awesome, man. And it makes you feel good. You get to feel pain for Lex, but you don't you wish he didn't go bad, but you don't have pity for him because it was clearly his choice. Like they wrote obviously I wanted to see more of Lex later on, but whether the director, like the actor has his own podcast, and Michael Rosenbaum, and if you guys didn't know, he's also the voice of Wally West and other DC characters. I think he's the voice of one of the Green Lanterns. I can't remember though. I think he's the voice of Hal Jordan in one of the movies, maybe Doom, Justice League Doom. But anyways, he felt that like they were just keeping the character of Lex on there. It was just like they couldn't do anything more, and that's the director's fault. That's the writer's fault because if you make an actor after their contract is done or ending in a TV show where you really can't flesh out this character even more because there's like a million more stories you could write with Lex, then yeah. And also I think it was a good idea to kind of write him out of the show. It was kind of like they did the right way to do it, not perfect, but they did it in the right way. And if you never watched that show, go ahead and watch it. It is, I would say the first 10 episodes, like, pay more attention to the character than the story. It's very episodic. You should know. If you're a Superman fan, you've watched Smallville. But what they do perfectly in every episode, even though it's not an episode that pushes the plot forward, they flesh out the characters and the characters actually develop in those episodes. Like you see Clark becoming more mature or doing something immature but still maintaining the essence of Clark and his family values that he learned from Jonathan and Martha Kent, his parents. And just like any scene with Jonathan and Martha is pretty much perfect. That's the best Jonathan Kent, and it's freaking awesome. And so, it's a lot of content. It's 40 minutes an episode, and each season has 22 episodes, 21 or 22 episodes, and there's 10 seasons, dude. Awesome. The only gripe I have is two things. The Tom Welling should have. The freak? There's balloons. Since when? Do we have all this function? Tom Tom Welling should have stayed more fit, right? Like he should have buffed out. It's something that I've always pisses me off when either, and it's not always the actor's fault. Like especially Tom Welling, he had to be in every episode all the time. That's got to be exhausting. And he even talks about it, like sleeping on the wheel, or like they eventually got together, like the whole cast got together and got him a driver and everything. So yeah. Sorry if there's lag right here on the camera and OBS. It looks fine, but streaming straight to YouTube, like CPU runs high, the frames are skipping, and again, it's things I'm learning that I can't freaking figure out, man. Every time I'm like, dude, I finally got it. Finally got the settings right. It f's with me, and it's pissing me off. But I digress. Yeah, so I've been having fun with Smallville, man. It's awesome. You know, like if you want to watch something that like people cared and did their own version of the story of Superman, that's respectful to the comics, but truly a one of a kind product. It is Smallville. Smallville is definitely a one of a kind show. It is. We're probably never gonna get another Superman related show like it. Now, do we need one? No. I've always been the proponent of we should get a TV show called Metropolis, and it takes place like 2 months after the last episode of Smallville. Maybe even like 2 years after. Because like we kind of get him in like a CGI suit, but like I would love to see Tom Welling in all his glory, like buffed out, you know, fit. Everybody, you know, we have perfect technology right now, even with their age. We have a lot of good de-aging technology. We could do somewhat of time jumps, like from one season, it's like 3 years later and all that stuff, because, you know, it would just make sense in a world of Superman. Like you can't have a crisis every freaking day, every freaking time. That's why like it was so nice, like reading simple stories from the comics where, you know, a discredited scientist is trying to figure out if Superman can remember his greatest feat, his first feat ever. And his first feat was getting out of the cockpit from the way from Krypton to Earth. And because I forgot what it was, he left a toy in his spaceship and then played with a meteor outside in space when he's already exposed to the yellow sun. And then got bored with it, and it was a comet that was heading towards Earth, and it never hit. And so the scientist was discredited. And in that comic, like if I remember right, he was wary of that scientist because he thought like he was trying to discover Superman's identity, right? And then at the end, it's just a nice little story, you know, the stories of him helping the police, the firefighters, saving a cat from a tree, helping a little girl cross the street. These like little things that are in a comic or just actually one of the issues that's just a very simple. That was a nice story. Like it was nothing crazy. Like yeah, that's gonna happen in Superman's life. Like he's not gonna wake up and have to deal with a full blown crisis that's gonna destroy the Earth. And that's where the MCU actually screwed up a bit. Was, you know, they had Dark World and the Avengers didn't assemble. It became a running gag where like there was all these things where the Earth was gonna get destroyed, but the Avengers didn't assemble. It's you know, it kind of made things unbelievable, right? And unfortunately, like we only got 2 good Avengers movies and one really good one, which was the first one. And like, you know, I can't say that anybody should have high expectations for Marvel. But, like I don't know, it is what it is. Like, what are you going to do? It's trash. And, yikes. But, oh shoot. Sorry, I'm like checking. Yeah, if anybody has any recommendations on how to fix live streams, make it look nice, because OBS looks great, camera looks phenomenal. The video I recorded, I watched it back, it looked good. Actually, I should probably watch it on the phone, because I should know if it loaded and it's just like, here's the freaking lowest quality possible. Yeah, man, like, as much as I'm enjoying myself, YouTube is freaking still pisses me off, because I like to do things right. I like to make it very nice. But yeah, like, so you could do the time jumps with another season or show that's related to Smallville, and I would not end it with Clark giving up his powers like they did on Crisis on Infinite Earths. I thought that was a cop-out, because everybody knew that would have been the best Superman. We would have wanted to see him in the suit, and Tom Welling he's somewhat against that, because he wants to maintain the Smallville. Like Smallville was very much Clark learning to become Superman. It wasn't him becoming Superman, It was him, like, finally understanding and having the balance that he can be Superman and be Clark and have a life. Superman, read up on its history. We're not going to go through it here, but I would say he is the most important superhero of all time. It's just the elevated morality that us as people strive for. It is a representation of as close to an angel as we can understand it to be. Like, there's things, like, I think Superman should always be to that high standard, right? I also, so, like, it's funny, and a lot of people disagree with me, but I truly will die on that hill. Like, I don't think he should ever have sex before marriage, and I don't think he should ever date Lois as Superman without her falling in love with Clark Kent. It's kind of like the Peggy Carter Captain America. Like Peggy clearly maybe wasn't that attracted to him, but clearly she felt something for the personality of Steve Rogers. You know what I mean? It's more believable in Brazil. You see a lot of ugly, fat dudes with, like, supermodel women in Brazil, and it will piss anybody off who likes to travel. And especially if you think you're a good-looking dude, like, and you just see these like beautiful women walking around, they're just making out with some fat dude that's like 30 years older than them, and they are not rich. They are not. They just have the charm and the know-how and the charisma, and maybe they are somewhat intelligent, but they're usually not rich, man. You see it a lot. Yeah. I also don't think that I really like the way in Smallville they handled Jonathan's death, and it wasn't necessarily Clark's fault, but it was kind of the consequence that Jor-El gives in Christopher Reeve's Superman, like, do not mess with time and space. And Jor-El gives him the option, and then he's like, no, I gotta save Lana, because Lana was gonna die. And he's like, all right, you mess with the fabric of time and space, but there's a law. If one life is saved, then another life is taken. And then Jonathan died. And that was like, he couldn't revert that back and just, like, it's like, no, that's your choice. And that's it. He died, and it is because Lana was spared. Like, obviously, and you do believe that, like, if it was down to that choice, like, okay, who do you want to die? Like, Lana's already dead. If you want to bring her back, your father's going to die. Like, he's not going to make that choice. Like, you just have to live with the fact. And he would. He would live with that fact. And at that point, I was okay with her death because it was just kind of like, man, like, they really, really milked the cow on that character. Like, it's just like, dude, she's a nothing burger at this point. Like, just let her die. And I would say one thing they didn't handle well was the whole Lana marrying Lex and then her hating Lex. It's like, okay, after some time, I believe that Lana was actually in love with Lex, and then they just kind of retconned that. And I know it's the story, and they already had it planned, but the way they executed it wasn't like, there's issues with the show. There's issues with parts of, like, whole halves of seasons. It's not a perfect show, but I'd say it is like perfect Superman. It is great. It's the actors, like, it's my favorite Lois Lane is in Smallville. I think the actress, I think it's Erica Durance. Like, she is phenomenal as Lois Lane. The most believable actress. She is tough. They did kind of like, she's like a military brat. I like that background of hers, and that she's a go-getter. And then you kind of also see her. She's like the older, mature woman, but you see her also maturing. And she's like, yeah, I think she's the best one. I think second best is the one from The Adventures of Lois and Clark, from the 90s, that TV show. I forgot the actress's name. The one from Desperate Housewives. She's probably the second best Lois Lane. And then, yeah, the third best would probably be from the Christopher Reeve. Amy Adams, I think, is probably the worst Lois Lane. Brandon Routh, like, she was believable. The chick that played Lois Lane was believable. I just didn't. That movie it ain't good. The lines aren't good. A lot of the acting ain't good. It is what it is. But I don't think she should be on the lowest tier. The worst one actually comes from a decent show. This is the Lois Lane from Crisis on Infinite Earths and the Lois and Superman show. Like, I don't know, man. Somebody's got to get her some meat. She looks sick. She looks like she's going to pass out. It just, I don't know. Amy Adams is definitely the worst one. It's like, she just came off as kind of like a bid, dude. And it's the writing. It's also like, Lois Lane is not a redhead. And that's it. The other one that's like top tier Lois Lane is the animated series. It would be Erica Durance, Desperate Housewives chick. Then I would say animated series. Then Christopher Reeve's Lois Lane. And then probably Amy Adams, and the worst one. Well, I still have to watch that one show, like the CW show. Is just, it's CW, and I didn't trust it, and it was connected to the Flash. And after the first or second season, that's trash, and after like the third season of Green Arrow was trash. So it was, I had a 4-year rule, and I think it was stupid that Warner Brothers canceled one of the better shows they had, just because James Gunn thinks the audience is completely retarded. He said that he didn't want to confuse having a TV show of Superman and the movie Superman. Like, we're gonna get confused, man. Are you dumb? Like, kids are able to see it, even if like kids are gonna watch it, which they made it more mature, and kids should not watch that movie. And I don't know about the show, but if it has any like homosexual themes or political agendas, then it's not for kids. If it's too violent, it's not for kids. Smallville's not for kids. There's some sensual stuff. There's some scenes, like a lot of blood at some points. Yeah, not for kids. Teens, yeah, teens and up, it's fine. But the original one is a little more for kids, like the '90s one with the. Well, what's the dude's name? Dean something. Dean Kane. That guy, like that. That one, like, yeah, you can watch. Like, what was it? Like 3 seasons are good, and the rest kind of is trash. Like as soon as she cuts her hair, it's terrible. Like apparently the writing went out with her hair. It's weird. Yeah. But yeah, the two things that I love talking about the most are probably Halo and Superman. And it didn't used to be that way. I always talked about Batman. Batman was like the go-to character for me, and Daredevil. Those were the go-tos. And I love the Daredevil show, but it's just like since Marvel forced Netflix to stop and then put it on Disney Plus, and they did Born Again, which is still terrible, and they put it in She-Hulk, which is terrible. It's like I just don't. I can't get excited about it anymore. Like I'm always excited to introduce somebody to the Daredevil show. Always excited. I'm like, dude, if you haven't watched Daredevil, you gotta watch season 1 and 2, man. Yeah, I'll always be excited to share with somebody like what I love about the Daredevil show and everything. But yeah, yeah, man. Like I'm having fun on YouTube. We chilling. That actually today, funny enough, somebody pointed out my cauliflower ear, and they were like, they're so nice about it. They were like, yeah, like I was telling them like, oh yeah, like that they had a profession that was related to somebody that I train with in jiu-jitsu. And I would say my cauliflower ear isn't too bad. Like you can tell it's more like in the inside right here. But if I look this way, if you look straight at me, like you really don't know. And then this one only has a little bit. It's just a little like bubble right there. But this is like the worst one. And this guy, and I mentioned like, oh yeah, like like I train as a hobby. I'm not trying to be a professional. I'm not gonna, like eventually, obviously, I want to have my skill level up there with the greats, black belts, but I'm not trying to be an athlete. And he's like, oh yeah, and notice I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to be insensitive. I'm like if you train a martial art and you're sensitive about how your ears or your face looks, you're kind of a queer, an idiot, So, so I like it was funny. Like I thought it was funny, and I just told him like, hey, dude, don't. I'm not a sensitive person. I will probably offend you way before you start offending me, because I'm Brazilian. We say bullcrap all the time. And if you cry about it and get offended, we're going to make it worse. Like, to the point you might even throw a punch. Like, it's going to be that bad. Not that I try to, but it's just like, it's authentically in us to just keep making fun of somebody who freaking cries. And like, it might be just that, life is tough for everybody, that we as a culture got to a point where like, we just don't care. Like it does, like words are not gonna hurt us. If you stab us, that will hurt us. But words are gonna be like, whatever, man. You're gonna cry about that? That's crazy. I gotta go and pay my bill. So while you're crying, I'm gonna go to work. See ya. That simplicity. I would say if you guys do want to know more about, like, you want to see a really authentic fan of DC Comics, go to the channel his name is As Heel versus Babyface. Those who know WWE will understand the reference of his channel name. It's a long name, I know. But that guy is really into DC Comics. He is he's like somewhat of he's not like that encyclopedia freak that you come across in the old school comic shop where like they live there, they're gonna live with their mom, they're not going to get a job, and their mom babies them and they just know everything about everything even if it's wrong. um but he is like and I would say a good expert, somebody who really loves DC Comics. And they have a show called BBC. It stands for Bagging and Boarding Comics, right? Where like they just talk, like him and Nerdrotic, one of my favorite YouTubers, and Mahler's involved. And if you like EFAP, which that's actually the best way. Like I prefer reviewing a movie like that, like literally going detail by detail, frame per frame, and discussing it. There are like their streams, like they do go off on tangents, and they go off on everything, like Doctor Who. They go, that's actually a big topic of conversation in some streams. They'll talk about Superman, they'll talk about Batman, and they'll talk about comics. And if you're in the chat and you do a super chat, like they'll tell, and you want a recommendation where to start if you've never read comics, like I'd recommend them over me. I like reading comics, and but I'm not good with remembering authors' names. Even though the only one I always remember is Frank Miller, because that's like everybody mentioned. Like, have you read Frank Miller Daredevil? Have you read the Daredevil by Frank Miller? Like, it became like the name. You know what I mean? And like there's some other comic names, but I just don't have it on top of my head. But yeah, like I can't like, oh, you should read this run. Like if I can show you an image, I'm like, okay, this is the run you should read. Like there are some things that like I give caveats to, like I hate New 52 all around, but the Batman New 52, it was like a 6.5 out of 10. Like it was pretty good, pretty decent stuff. Like it was enjoyable. Some things they really screwed up on in that comic, but overall, like you'll enjoy that comic. Now, Superman New 52, dumpster fire. Oh my gosh, like piss defecating on a dumpster fire, dude. It's just not Superman. If you read like just a classic, you could read the All-Star series of Superman, or just a classic Action Comics Superman. And then you go into New 52, just the sheer contrast of even simple things like the suit, that's where James Gunn got the whole collar thing from, which is dumb. The love stories between him and Wonder Woman, it's a whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of like, it's a completely different character. Like, Clark doesn't act like Clark. Superman doesn't act like Superman. There's just like a few instances here and there. You're like, okay, yeah, that was Superman-y. But I'm reading a whole comic Superman, and I have to find one particular part that is very much like Superman instead of the whole comic. It's trash. Don't freaking. If you want to do it, if you want to torture yourself, read a good comic first, just so that you know what Superman is like. You could do the All-Star. You could do quite a few runs, and then jump into New 52 just to read it and get it over with. You might not even get past the first issue. It's pretty trash, man. Yeah. So, man, I remember when comics were good. Like my favorite comic shop actually got shot up. So in Utah, there was a time where Rodizio Grill, if anybody, so Rodizio Grill is a Brazilian steakhouse, and it was actually it's a franchise, but it was the first Brazilian steakhouse ever in the U.S. in Denver, Colorado, I believe is where they started. And then they moved to headquarters over to Utah, and then my father eventually became the chief financial officer, the CFO, and financial manager of Rodizio Grill. And they jumped around where the office was in Utah, but eventually the office was right next to like the the main restaurant, like the restaurant that's like all the other restaurants are gonna model after, which is Trolley Square. And I forgot what year it was, but the Trolley Square Mall is like an old train station in Utah, like from the first settlers of Utah, right? And it's very nice. It's very different, and like for some reason, a day that there was a shooting, like my dad didn't go to the office. He just didn't feel like it. He shouldn't go. And every time we went to Rodizio Grill, we always walked around the mall, and there was a comic book shop that was like straight up comics, man. And then they did comics and games, but it was like games were just the cards, like Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh. Because at the time, Pokemon was kind of like phasing out of popularity for competition wise, I believe. And I don't know too much about collecting. Like I collected Pokemon, but more so Yu-Gi-Oh. And we would go there all the time. My dad got us our first comics there. And unfortunately, there was some lunatic. Nobody lost their life. There was an officer. There was like a few officers that were off duty eating at Rodizio Grill that stopped him. But he had like a bag full of ammunition, and he just started shooting up like random spots. And that comic shop, and I think it was before 2007, that comic shop couldn't survive. And it was awesome. And I never saw those guys since, and I've never seen a comic book shop like it. Obviously, I didn't travel too much, but it was a nice place to like zen, like place of peace. And we went there often enough where the whoever, I'm guessing it was the owner, but he knew that we would stay in there for hours just looking at stuff, because we weren't poor or anything, but like we weren't gonna spend money. We didn't have money to just buy comics willy nilly, and he would whip out his comic that he was either reading or something that he felt like it was appropriate for us. That usually was a DC comic. And he would just give it to me and my brother to read in the store, and then once we were done reading, we'd give it back, go back to the family. We'd just usually chill over there. But a lot of the comics I read were from those guys over there. That was like, oh yeah, these kids come in and they would point out that we were respectful and nice, and that we didn't we didn't behave badly. So they were willing to, share their comics and let us have a good time in there. It was great. It was great. I remember once I did get mad at one of the workers there. I wanted a Hitman comic, and literally just because the cover was cool. It was just Agent 47 holding his guns like that, right? And my dad looked at it, and he's like, "This looks like hella aggressive." And my dad didn't know too much about comics, but I guess one of his coworkers had a teenager who would read manga, and then he saw it once, and he's like, okay, I should keep an eye on cartoons, because to him anime is cartoons, and he's like, the Japanese stuff is whack. And so at this point he was already aware. His AI brain was self-aware, and he asked the clerk or the cashier, is this the guy was about to ring us up, and he's like, is this appropriate for his age? And then he looks at me, and I'm looking at him, and looks at my dad, and he's like, no, it's probably very violent for him. He's like, it deals with different themes, like more adult-like themes. And my dad's like, hey, you can't read this one, put it back. And I was like, what the freak? And I just looked at that clerk like, messed up, man. Messed up real bad. And I knew he felt sorry, because he was like, but he had to be honest, yeah, yeah. And it's funny because my dad knew more about comics than most people do now. He would tell me all the time, I don't know why we've never gotten a Namor movie. He was the first, he was the first hero in Marvel. And even though I didn't really read Namor comics, like my dad knew that, and I was like, what the freak? And I remember he would point out things like when Man of Steel came out, he's like, "Where's the trunks and why doesn't he have the S hair? That's not Superman." Just off that, not even like if the movie was good or anything. It's like that's not Superman because he doesn't have the S or the trunks. Like he's got to have the trunks. And it was like, yeah, yeah. Like he still will like talk about the Adam West Batman. It's awesome. And the so like and I remember in Brazil, so like we were waiting at the doctor's office, and it was like a long wait, and we didn't have action figures, right? They were really expensive to get, or really hard to get in Brazil. It's not like you could just go to Amazon now and buy something off the internet. There was barely even an internet. But he drew Batman and Robin. Like he drew it and then cut it out, and me and my brother for like I think like a good 2 years we kept that, and we would play with just the regular lined paper, but it was Batman and Robin, and we just fight without ripping, trying not to rip the paper, and that was like our Batman and Robin toy. It's freaking sick. And then when we got here, I think I was like we came here, a few years passed, and I think I got my first Superman toy, and it was based off the animated series when I was 7 or 8, and it was awesome, man. I should probably get that toy again. And I'm looking to buy like a Superman toy for my son, but yeah, it was, man, it was awesome. Like, and I still have the memory of the Robin cutout. Like I remember that the feet were just completely this way, and the and like for like all my art classes, like I drew the feet the same way, like just boom, and then legs. Yeah, like I remember like, oh, okay, yeah, so that's how you draw feet. You draw the shoes to the side, just complete clown style. Hey, yeah, so oh man, good times, man. It was yeah, like so I contribute my comic book nerdiness and love for comics to my dad. He's the catalyst of my amazing, incredible addiction. Yeah. But the yeah, like I just wanted to like just have a late night show. We could hang out, chill a little bit, just relax. And I have to actually start doing some Legos again. It's so time consuming. Like people forget. Like this dude took a few days. Like let me grab that. Let me bring it here a little bit, just so you can gauge the size. Like look at this. It's life size, man. Look at that. Look at that. Let me see if I could bring it right there. Look at that. Right up in there. It's pretty sick. So just comparison. I've wanted to do like a Superman mural based out of Lego. I've done the Anakin. I've done Captain Rex. I've done Batman actually. I wish I still had it. And I've done Hogwarts. And I think I had the Gandalf one, but I never got to build it. But yeah, I want, like they had a Christopher Reeve one, but it just didn't look too much like Superman. It was too pixelated the way they assigned all the Lego studs. And yeah, I want to, and like I only usually do Legos with my kids, because I don't have time to just like sit here, build a Lego to be like, look, I don't, it's not a Lego channel. So, but if I want some views on my shorts, probably get back into Legos. Yeah, I'll probably do some Lego Lego work. Or I was building a whole minifig scale castle with the Black Falcons, the Falcon minifigures. Kind of creating an army of them, which I have so many pieces. You guys have no idea how full of Lego are in my house. Like my house full of Lego. It's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna end there. Like it was fun, you know. Got to tell you guys some stories. I got a lot of stories, you know, and yeah, like it was kind of nice going trip down memory lane with the whole paper robin. Yeah, it was. I remember my dad did that. And another story, I had when I was 7 or 8, we were celebrating Halloween, and I was Batman. And my dad, I had the Batman mask that like came with it, but it had the mouth. And then I asked my dad to make me one. And you know, I was a kid. I wasn't very grateful about it because it was with black tape, and it wasn't the way I imagined it, like a cowl, you know. But my dad did make it, and now looking back at it now, like I really really appreciate that he did that, and it was awesome. It was really sick, cause I was so bothered that like my mouth didn't show. I'm like, yeah, Batman's mouth isn't covered. Like I want like my mouth to say. I want people to see that I'm Batman, you know. And yeah, it was freaking awesome. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the stream there. All right, douchebags, don't forget to subscribe, like, whatever you got to do. And I'll steal this from Nerdrotic. If you didn't like what you see, I do appreciate y'all fools sticking around. But still, subscribe and like.